a thing that I realized I didn't know anything about. And now I do, and I'm going to share it with you, all right? We're going to get right into the nitty-gritty. This is going deep. And because next week we're going to do a full halfway through the year kind of check-in with like player breakdowns and ranking lists and all kinds of stuff. That's what the whole show is going to be. Today we're going to do some fun stories that I did research for you. I wanted to figure it out. So going deep, why do righties throw harder than lefties? Does anyone here in the comments/chat know why left-handers don't throw as hard as righties? Because I was doing, I was doing SiriusXM radio about a month ago, and we were talking about Gerangelo Sainja, the ambidextrous pitcher that was drafted by the Seattle Mariners, I believe last year. Throws very hard right-handed and pretty hard lefty. On average, chalk it up. On average, lefties throw not as hard as righties. On average. Okay, I know Tarek Skubal throws 100, but on average, it's different. So we were talking about Sainja, and he throws with both hands. He throws he can get up to 97, 98 right-handed, and throws about 92 to 95 lefty. Even the guy who throws with both hands doesn't throw as hard left-handed. I was like, why is this? So I did the research, and it comes down, asked some questions, and came down to some really interesting conclusions. So as of right now in the major leagues, the average four-seam fastball for a righty is 94.7, which means I retired at the right time because that's what my average fastball was my last year. And my God, what knowing my fastball being average would do to my mental health would not be pretty. On the flip side, literally, lefties are averaging 93.4. Now, they have also slowly increased, as have righties, because the technology behind how to throw hard has gotten better, but they're still behind righties by 1.5 miles an hour, which is kind of what it's been. Like that buffer has been anywhere from 1.5 to 2 miles an hour since we've been tracking velocity. Interestingly enough, I just mentioned an ambidextrous pitcher, but another one, Pat Venditti, who got to the big leagues, did it. Wasn't a hard thrower, but still threw harder right-handed. He could throw get up to 90, 91 right-handed, and he was throwing 85 lefty. So I was like, even that guy does not throw as hard left-handed as he does righty. So I had questions, and I wanted to break them down as follows, because these questions are really interesting. First of all, you want to know, there's been studies too. So we're going to cite some studies. I did some research via the interwebs. So this stuff has been figured out before, but I feel like there's not a lot of people that know exactly how. Okay. So first question was, is there a physical difference between, oh my God, I did not mean to do that. Anyway, is there a physical difference between righties and lefties? Is there anything physiologically different between us? And the short answer is no. Right-handed pitchers and left-handed pitchers are literally mirrored to each other. There is no, it's not like human beings have a stronger, side of the back, or one leg is naturally stronger than the other, based on how we're put together. Those things vary wildly. So it's not physiology. It's not anything about the human body, okay? But I also was wondering, is it mechanical? Is there a mechanic situation, right? Is there something to do with how we're developed? We create the foot contact acceleration. This is a really cool graphic put out by Driveline. But do they create hip shoulder separation differently? Is there something about the left side of the mounds? Is there something about, but fields are they're mirrored. There's no difference there. And there's also very few mechanical differences. A 2019 study of 96 lefties and 96 righties matched for size and velocity. So it's about the same on both. Found that only 4 of the 31 variables they checked were different. Righties achieve slightly greater stride foot landing distance, meaning their extension was just a little farther. They had better hip-shoulder separation, which comes from throwing harder. So because these guys throw a little bit harder, they generally have better hip-shoulder separation and more maximum shoulder external. Basically, how far you get back here. Again, that's all these things are related to each other. So if one of them's longer, the other ones are usually longer. And those four things don't explain why righties throw harder. It explains that they throw harder. Like everyone goes, yeah, righties throw harder because they do these things. But it doesn't explain why they do those things better than lefties. Like, why can't lefties get there? And the conclusion they came to was they can. They just don't. Like, they just don't for some reason. So it's not physical and it's not mechanical, because there are really hard throwing lefties. Look, Shane McClanahan, freaking Tarek Skubal, Roldis Chapman, the dude from the Rays that throws a zillion miles an hour. Like, they exist. So like the top velos are all comparable, but the averages are low, which leads us to another question. This one was very interesting to me because I had a conversation fairly recently for Cut on the Diamond with Rich Hill. Rich Hill told me that he started throwing left-handed when he was a kid, but he does everything right-handed. He opens doors up, he wears his watch on his left hand, he eats, he writes, he does everything right-handed. I was like, is there something about that? Is there something about you only using your left hand for just pitching? And what studies found was lefties tend to be more evenly built than righties. Righties get very one-side dominant. That's why you see everyone says lefties are weird because they're like good at weird things and they're very weirdly ambidextrous. It's because the world's built for righties, and so they do everything right-handed. But they just learn to pitch left-handed, and there's just more lefties that do that than righties. There are way more lefties that write righty than righties that write lefty. Like, way more. Because who wants to write left-handed and drag their hand across the paper? Like, everything we do is for righties.
Building a hair growth routine is easy only if you go with Nutrafol. Why is that, Todd Father?
Nutrafol, you think about hair. For me, sometimes the hair gets thinning. This thing will thicken your hair up as much as you need. You think about going to weddings or going to the beach or just hanging out with friends and you want to take photos. You want your hair to look good, and this is the best possibility for it.
Yeah, and thinning hair is different for men and women, so a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth, that's not it, okay? They have multiple formulas for men and for women that are tailored to fit different stages of life, okay? So go check out Nutrafol. Building a hair growth routine can be easy, and you order online. There's no prescription needed as well. Free shipping, automated deliveries, and for a limited time, Nutrafol is offering the FT fam $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code FOUL, F-O-U-L. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FOUL.
So they have come to the conclusion that maybe there's a little bit of righties throw harder because they're so good one side that they get a little bit of extra strength, right? They think there might be something to that, which makes a lot of sense to me. But long term, having more parity between the sides of your body is better for you. So that's not necessarily a good thing health-wise either. So my third question was then, okay, then what the hell is it? And it turns out that it's just statistics. So someone said this earlier in the presentation, because that's what this is. It comes down to just statistics. And what I mean by that is follows. The stats behind kind of two major big factors: baseball strategy and going for the outlier method, okay? So baseball has a there's big value put on being different, okay? So like Tyler Rogers, the Submariner, for example, is effective mostly because he's so much different than everyone else. Because there are a lot less lefties. Lefties are a different look, right? It just looks different. You can mix in a lefty to look like two different pitchers. That's always been part of strategy. So lefties coming in and looking different have been a part of building your team since the inception of the game. When that happens, that incentivizes lefties doing things that are different. So if the righties throw really hard, it's not as important for the lefties to throw really hard. So that is one thing, strategy that affects development, right? But that is intent. That's like a thing, like I don't need to throw as hard because I throw sliders every time. Like stuff like that, because that's what my job is. Now the loogie, basically a lefty, we come in and face only one lefty and get pulled, that's gone. So now everyone has to face 3 batters, and now lefties can't be used that way. So the velos have climbed for lefties because they got rid of that. Had they not gotten rid of that, we'd still see a huge disparity between their velos. But the second part of this statistics explanation is the most fascinating. And it just comes down to how many we have of each. In the population, only 10% of people are left-hand dominant, while 90% are right-side dominant. But in share of pitching in the major leagues, 30% of pitchers are left-handed, 70% are righties. So that means more left-handed pitchers overall, total, starting in Little League, a higher percentage of those guys are going to get to the big leagues, and so the lowest velocities are going to be lower than the guys for the righties. Basically, being a right-handed pitcher, you have to throw hard to be competitive because you're competing against 90% of the population for 70% of the jobs. When that happens, you prioritize the highest priority kind of metric that tells you they're good, and that's velo for the most part. If you throw hard, you get more opportunities. It's the number one most valuable thing. Lefties, velo is just not as important because guys throw 92 still might make it into that group of people because only 10% of the population is going for 30% of the jobs. So it's technically a lower bar, but because there are less total pitchers to choose from for more jobs and vice versa for righties. And then righties have to compete, therefore driving their velo up even more, which causes the disparity. That's why it never goes away. So, as always here on the show, it comes down to math. So, if you're a left-handed pitcher, correct. Keep doing that. If you're a right-handed pitcher, good luck. and basically, the thing I take from this whole thing is, I'm so good. Anywho, let me know down in the comments what you guys think of that. Now you know. It's something now you know. Okay, you didn't know fully. You had to get you thought you knew, but I did the work for you. So now you know. Congratulations. And that's why righties throw harder.